Hello and welcome to my top 10 anime of all time. In celebration of passing 10,000 subscribers, I just want to quickly thank everybody who's subscribed to the channel over the past year and a half. I really do appreciate it. So in this video I'm going to be celebrating by listing my top 10 anime of all time from the hundreds of anime I've completed. Every genre, every decade, everything. Obviously this list is not absolutely final. I could stumble across something in the future that manages to find its way in, but this list has been pretty static for a long time now, so I felt it was time to make a video about it. Enjoy! At number 10 is EVANGELION. I'm including both the series and end of EVANGELION. Eva makes the number 10 spot because of its outstanding job at handling unimaginably complex characters and an incredibly layered script with a reasonable amount of subtlety. It manages to present itself in a much more structured way than any other series could have. The sheer amount of elements to Eva would normally be a recipe for disaster, but they managed to grab that, control it, and create one of the greatest shows of all time. Its characters are the show's strongest point. There isn't a single character in the series whose writing didn't impress me. To fit all of this into an also complex script and maintain a fair level of structure was brilliant. Very few, if not none of the shows to follow Eva could have come close to replicating it. KAIBA is number 9 on the list. This made it onto the list for multiple reasons, the main being its ability to create something so unique and still make it amazing. Despite its quirky art style, KAIBA can easily stand beside all of the greats of sci-fi. The unique atmosphere created by the great art and world design just elevate the already great series. And even without the art, it's still a superbly written series. It's easy to let the art overshadow the writing, but KAIBA still has an amazingly put together story and some really awesome characters. The characters had so much room to develop and show their depth because of the ever-changing world. It allowed them to really explore themselves and show everything to the viewer. Number 8 is the TATAMI galaxy. Similar to KAIBA in that its complex and diverse world opens up the characters. It even takes a step further by going even more into depth into the characters. This series is amazing for so many reasons. It's hard to pick a main reason. On one hand you have this fantastic cast of characters who are all really well written into the brilliant story, creating over time one of the most complex series out there. And on the other hand you have this insanely gorgeous visual representation. It's a series that all ties together beautifully, in a narrative sense and an aesthetic sense. Everything from the soundtrack to the colour palettes of the scenes, they all come together to make one of the most solid anime series out there. Number 7 on the list is ERGO PROXY. This series just done so much right, the atmosphere being its main strength. It creates this really mysterious world with really well presented themes and questions. The series then takes the approach of meandering through all these themes to create some of the greatest episodes of anime I've ever watched. The series is so underappreciated in its execution of all the complex and tricky elements it brings up. It is not hard to bring up so many complex philosophical themes and address them without the series being a complete mess. It manages to maintain a really strong narrative throughout the show, even stopping at points to create some slower episodes. That is very impressive. This series is one of the best examples of how to do unconventional stories in an unconventional way. Number 6 on the list shows us the beauty of subtlety. One of the absolute best uses of subtlety, Renmei. This show is simply amazing. Everything it touches turns out perfectly. The atmosphere, the characters, the world, the pacing, it's all amazing. I've seen very few shows successfully pull this level of perfect writing. Shows like this do sometimes run the risk of lacking ambition. Sometimes a show can be flawless, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's good. Addressing a smaller amount of things can be risky, but Renmei is an amazing example of how to do that. It's all in the atmosphere and feeling of the show. It's all down to how immersed the viewer is, which is a product of things like writing and pacing, things that Renmei does to a T. Starting off the top 5 is TEXHNOLYZE. Man, what a powerful series. TEXHNOLYZE is a great mixture of the more complex shows I mentioned and the simpler ones. It has very well explored themes, but also has an amazing atmosphere created by the show's contrast of complexities. It creates this world that in some ways is very big in scale, yet creates such a melancholic, confined feeling. This is again something that is very overlooked, but it's not an easy thing to do at all. I can count on one hand the shows that create an atmosphere to the same success as TEXHNOLYZE. TEXHNOLYZE is best described as poetic. It's something that I would urge everybody to try out. I've watched it multiple times and it never fails to capture me. Aria. Just Aria. I literally have nothing negative to say. In fact, it's very hard to think of things to say. Aria is one of the most inexplainably great pieces of art I've ever experienced. The series is a journey more immersive than any other anime, more atmospheric, more peaceful. The series has everything. It's 2 amazing seasons and a 3rd season that I can only describe as a masterpiece. The emotion, attachment and bond you feel with the characters in the world are indescribable. All I can say is watch Aria. Experience it yourself. I can say no words that truly represent the show. Number 3 is Ghost in the Shell. Yes, I'm talking about Ghost in the Shell again. Although I'm talking about the movie, I'd also like to include the 2 seasons of standalone Complex. The series holds many of the qualities the movie has, and manages to create its own twists. I definitely have to give both credit for being some of the best written pieces of anime out there. Incredible dialogue addressing some in-depth philosophical topics with such ease. Along with fantastic action, brilliant characters, and one of the best sci-fi worlds ever created to wrap everything up. At number 2 is Mushishi, a series that I've loved for years. I've talked a lot about atmosphere on this list. It's one of my favourite narrative elements, and Mushishi really captures why I love it so much. Create a world of people, landscapes and history that feels real. It's not an easy task, but Mushishi does that brilliantly. It manages to tell some of the best stories I've ever experienced with such subtlety, and in only 20 minutes. That is the glory of Mushishi, its ability to use all of its elements to create a short but compelling story. Which would be impressive to do maybe 5 or 6 times in a series, but Mushishi does it over and over again every single episode. Everything in Mushishi is amazing, it all just works. What I also like about it is how it changes tone from episode to episode. Not only can it tell great stories, but it can switch from dark to playful to serious within minutes. An absolutely fantastic example of great writing and beautiful art combining to create a fantastic series. Now for the creme de la creme of anime. A lot of the series on this list are very close to each other, and could quite easily have switched a position or two, but Legend of the Galactic Heroes sits comfortably on its throne at the top. Legend of the Galactic Heroes is great because of its sheer scale. It manages to do everything imaginable, and does it better than any other anime has done before. Action, war, romance, politics, philosophy, religion, sci-fi, it does everything like it was no trouble at all. It majestically soars through the ocean of storytelling and emerges a beautiful narrative beast. It's 110 episodes of solid story. No breaks, no shortcuts, it feels like a real slice of history. So that was my top 10 anime of all time, and I'm actually quite curious, what is everyone else's top 10 anime of all time? Please post yours in the comments, and of course if you liked the video please be sure to click the like button and subscribe for more videos. You can also check out videos I've made about specific entries on this list on the screen now. Anyway, thank you very much for watching and thank you for 10,000 subscribers.